Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Wednesday, February 7th. So I thought today we'd talk a little bit about censorship and why censorship can be be good and bad, okay? All right. Hang tight. All right. So welcome back. So why are we talking about censorship? Well, we encounter censorship from birth. All right. Now I remember growing up and with my parents, and my dad was, "This is my house, my rules. I bring in the bacon. I pay for the house. I pay for everything." And in turn, that gives me ultimate control. And he expected us to listen to it and not say anything back. Remember, he's military. Shut your damn mouth, straighten your back up, and do what I tell you to do. No ifs, ands, or buts, right? And if you don't like it, ship up or shape out. I can remember as a kid being threatened with going to, my brother and I happened to go to military school. He was going to send us away and get us in shape. In a way, that was censorship, right? Because we could form our own opinions, but we couldn't voice them. Dad's rules, or it didn't fly. And I found that to be a certain extent to be true in my household when I started raising my kids. As I had a certain set of morals and values that I wanted instilled in my kids. And while you're living underneath my roof, you're going to live by my rules. But I wasn't as strict as my father. I'm more like my grandfather. He allowed you to try things and fail. And my father, you could never ask why. That was the ultimate sin. Where Grandpa was, he would say, "This is the way it's going to be, and why?" And that's what I used to do with my kids. This is the way it's going to be, and this is why we're doing it this way. It's to keep you out of harm's way. And Grandpa would allow you some say in the matter. He wouldn't allow you to do your own thing, but he would allow some horse trading. So, it's nothing new. We've talked about this before, when it comes to this venue and their censorship. And I'm talking about it today because Jason had mentioned he got censored again. The way I look at it is YouTube is owned by Google. Google is a very leftist tech company. And they tend to decide on they should decide on what's best for the rest of us. They've been that way for some time now. But when it comes to, a parent and a child in a house, now it's kind of like that parent and the child, and you're in their playground, And they're setting the rules on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable to a certain point, okay? Now, I've watched some YouTube videos that were just horrific, that YouTube allowed. I'm like, yet a channel like mine that isn't out to hurt anyone, say anything derogatory towards anyone, I admit, I walk the line close to it. You know, sometimes I don't know where that line is, but, you know, I try to get as close to that line as I can without crossing it to get my point across. And a couple times I've kind of gone a little too far, and they kind of slapped me on the back of the hand saying, this is not acceptable. Okay? Okay. And I can understand comments left on my channel somewhat being censored to a certain extent. Is you don't have human eyes anymore looking at this stuff. You have AI. AI is looking at keywords that come up that say, we gotta check this out, you know. And AI can look at thousands of videos at the same time, millions of videos. And in doing so, they're going to delete some comments that should have never been touched and allow comments to be left that should never have been left. It's not fallible. It makes mistakes. And I've seen that. Pretty much AI is here to stay. You know, your chat GDP is 2 years behind the time. At least that's what they tell us, okay? The military has been using AI for quite some time now. And it's just trickling down to, I know that definitely with Google and with them owning YouTube, you're seeing a current version of AI running on their platform. Not 1-2 years ago. It's one that is looking at political events, political activism, what have you, and trying to shape our world. And being one-sided is not the way to do it. I mean, we have rules and laws in our lives, you know, that say if the speed limit says 55, if you go 62, you're kind of walking the edge, right? But if you go 10 to 12 miles over the speed limit, good chances are you're going to get a ticket. And that's what I mean by walking the edge of the line. And we do it all the time. We do it without even thinking. But the laws that were put in place because of something that happened, something that took place that we don't want to see happen again. You know, if you go back far enough to the Wild West, people would ride around on horses shooting people. You know, and you had the sheriff, and you had the bad outlaws, and then you had the ones that were doing duels. If you go back far enough to England, if they disagreed on something, they had their single-shot musket pistols, and they walked so many paces, 12 or 15 paces, turned, and that's how they, you know, solved or decided to solve disagreements, which is asinine, because why can't you just agree to disagree instead of shooting each other? So in a way, we've come a long ways, right? But in other ways, we haven't. I can remember back when I was in college, I went to school for computer information and then information technology. And I've got a bachelor's in IT. And the one college professor used to tell me the best way to define computers and programs is garbage in, garbage out. Other words, whatever you tell that program to do, if you give it misinformation, it's not going to spit out the correct response, right? So if you're feeding that computer AI, because it will never feel, it will never have sadness, happy, all that, it's just mimicking what the person that has created and the inputs that is given. So in that sense, like AI with YouTube, it's somebody is telling them this is acceptable and this is not. It's not saying that that person is right or wrong. Could be dead wrong. But whoever is feeding that values, the check waypoints of what to look for and how to react, is in control. And you see that today. I mean, just go online and let's say you go to Amazon or you go to wherever, and there's a certain item that you're looking at, thinking about it or whatever, and you open it up and you read the information on it. Next thing you know, your Facebook feed, your Gmail spam box, all you see are ads for that item that you looked at. That's AI. AI is saying it's a learned behavior, so if you're looking at it, if we put it in front of you enough times and give you enough chances to buy it, you'll buy it. And Google makes money off advertising. Advertisers. So if they can get it in front of you for a longer period of time, it's a moneymaker for them. But the bad thing with censorship is we don't allow the other side to voice. See, my feeling is we should be willing to listen to all sides and then make an informed decision based on all the information out there instead of just what I'm telling you. If we base it on just what I'm telling you, then it's kind of shaded on one side. You know, you're not hearing the other side tell you the pros and cons from where they're saying, or this other side. And the problem is, if you have a few that are in control, how far are you from becoming a socialist or a communist country? Now, if you go over to China and deface a poster of President Xi, you could serve a lifetime in a prison work camp for putting a mustache on President Xi. Not acceptable. You're not allowed to think. This is the way it is. Same thing with North Korea. Same thing with Russia. And I'm starting to see that here in the U.S., unless we kick back a little bit, of what we're shown and told is to be true when in reality it's not. The best way to come up with a fair across the board is to get all sides to talk and come to some center point that says, okay, you've heard my view, I've heard your view, this is what we can come together and agree on, okay? And then we're always going to have certain things that we disagree on. But here's what we agree on. And we've seen it in the presidential election, where you had somebody's son that had done a lot of things that was kept out of the limelight so that it wouldn't ruin his father's chances of being president. And then we've seen the other side of where they're taking a man and dragging him through the gutter. And it's all political, folks. It has nothing to do with what one has done or didn't do. It's perception. And right now, your mainstream, your texts are all on one side. They do not want this person back in. Why? Because he's going to regulate more the tech companies. He's going to hold them to the fire and accountable. Where the other side is using just think about that. Because if you're not fed the correct information, how can you make an informed decision? Right? And I'm not sure, with AI, if they think, well, if this station or this channel represents a lot of auto mechanics, small engine repair guys that turn wrenches and talk about turning wrenches and tools, that we must be Neanderthals or close to it. In that case, we must be voting, the conservative line. Huh? But that's garbage in, garbage out. If you feed a program garbage, you're going to get garbage out. You're going to get misinformation. A computer cannot learn like we do. You can tell us and show us, and we can mimic until we get it good at it, right? With machine learning, you have to tell them every step of the way what to do. And when you tell them to jump on 1 foot, you can't just tell them to jump on 1 foot. You need to tell them what a foot is, what a leg is, the motion, how high. You have to put all these values in to try to mimic what the human is doing over there. Now, I've seen programs where humans would stand in front of a screen, and as they're doing things, the program running behind it is mimicking everything that person's doing. But they're not learning how. They're just mimicking the one that is there. If that makes any sense. So I apologize to you guys if you're being censored. I don't know whether it's, it's along the line, that imaginary line, or whether it's because I'm on that imaginary line, so mine is being a little shadowed at times. I would hope not, but the thing is, a lot of people don't want to hear the truth. They really don't. Because the truth makes them think. And the thing about being truthful is you'll always have the same message, because people that lie, you can't remember what lie they told to whom. So they have a tendency of just adding to it, or it's never the same, right? And I see right now, they had a show last night where at this game, this guy's got the headset on, and he's watching the game through this type of headset that you can play tennis. It makes you feel like you're in the real world where you're living right there. And the thing is you aren't. And most people are trying to escape life by use of drugs, and now with this machine stuff, it's the advancement of computer games. So on that note, you guys have a great Wednesday. I'm not sure what we got in store for us today. I started putting up more lights out in Clouds Bay yesterday. I got the water working for the cows. So everything is good so far, except for it's 12 degrees out this morning. But on that note, you guys have a great Wednesday. And again, I apologize for any of you guys that are being censored. All right.